Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the moments and challenges and decisions that shape who we have become. Today, I'm joined by Nick Jain, our fractional CFO, Harvard MBA graduate, private equity professional, and entrepreneurs who has helped scale multiple companies to over $100 million in revenue. Nick work focuses on helping business make smarter financial decisions using data strategy and proving corporate playbook. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show. Nick.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me on the show, Robanaya.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick. So, Nick, what were some of the challenges or choices that shape you into who you have become today?
Sure. So I'm not sure if there were choices so much as, who I am deep down. So look, what really motivates me in life is two things. Number one, I love how understanding why things work. That's why I got my education in math and physics. I love understanding how things work. And number two, I'm competitive. So if you combine those two characteristics of my brain or my personality, being good at it, kind of being passionate about understanding how
Yeah,
things work and being competitive, it kind of trends towards finance and kind of the career arc I'm
yeah,
taking.
yeah, amazing, amazing. Learning how things work, amazing. So you were raised by your grandmother across our generations of sacrifice. How did that influence your perspective on money, success, and responsibility?
Sure. So my grandmother was responsible for raising four generations of people. She raised
Oh,
her parents. She raised her multiple siblings. She raised my mother, and then she raised me.
mm,
So four generations stretching across roughly 80 years. That's a
mm,
life dedicated to kind of servitude,
yeah,
right? To serving others. And it's not something you do when you're worried about yourself or worried about what you're doing next year, how much money you're going to make next week. It's something that you do when you're thinking across decades and generations. Allowed me to have a kind of multi-generational view of the world, that I'm not necessarily living for myself, but also for my kids, my
yeah.
grandkids, and so on.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Living, not just living for yourself, living it for others. And I know definitely just seeing that at play across our the first and second, and you are like, "Watch, grandma will be able to do this. What could I do different?" And that was really amazing. So, what is the biggest financial mistake you see small business owner make?
The biggest thing I think they make is not looking at their data. I
Hmm.
think a lot of businesses think that they only have to worry about collecting and analyzing their business data when they become big. And big means, I don't know, 100 million, 50 million. It's always bigger than they are right now. But turns out even the smallest businesses have the opportunity to collect how much data, all the data they're generating in their business, analyze it. And I'll give a simple example. I work with a guy who runs a small construction business making around $250,000, $300,000 US of revenue a year. But he could double his profits if he just looked at how much he was spending on wood and materials, because he's
Hmm.
buying wood that is very, very expensive. And if he just bought it once every 3 months instead of every single week, he would save so much money. And that's something that he never thought about. But I looked at his data in like 10 minutes and realized, hey man, you could make twice as much money if you just stopped if you just thought ahead 3 months instead of living day by day. And you can only do that if you look at the numbers
Yeah.
rather than just spend all your time running the business.
Yeah, wow, wow, amazing. Looking at the data and seeing how things work out there at play. And yeah, that was really amazing. So, what does cash flow management really means in practical terms for a growing business?
Sure, I think you need cash flow for really three things. Number one, you need cash flow to sustain the business as it exists, right? Not to grow it, but just to keep it alive. Think of it like air. You need air to live every day.
Yeah,
Second, you need enough cash flow to pay the owners so they're happy, right? The investors, the owners of the business. That's the second purpose. And third, you need enough cash flow to reinvest back into the business so it can grow. So,
yeah,
the amount of money you need to open that new office or hire new staff, etc. So, I think when businesses think about cash flow, they need to make sure they have enough cash flow to do all three of those things: sustain the business, pay the owners and investors, and reinvest for growth. And you can only do that if if two things are true. Number one, you're generating enough profits from the
yeah.
business, number one. And number two, you're getting enough external capital from your investors to fund those three core things.
Yeah, amazing. Stay in the business, pay the owners and investors, and to reinvest in the business. And I think this is really amazing being that it covered the whole blueprint of why our cash flow is really key in business. Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. So when should the business hire a fractional CFO versus the full-time CFO?
Sure, I think The moment the owner's not looking at the data or doesn't have time to look at data, it's important to hire someone to do that. Whether you call them a CFO, fractional CFO, an FP&A analyst, a data scientist, whatever title you give them, hire someone to go look at the data and analyze it on a day-to-day basis. I think for most businesses, typically when they hit around $500,000 or $1 million of revenue in the US, it's time to hire someone to go look at the data on a regular basis. Definitely when you hit somewhere between 25 to $50 million, you should go hire a real CFO. They tend to be really expensive, unfortunately, but you should definitely go hire one.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And I think just having the numbers and knowing when to go all out is really keeping that. So at that particular point, just hiring and the fact that from the story you said earlier on, if it actually more like reduce the cost a way whole lot, and I think the cost of paying them is so minute compared to having to spend much, especially with the person you make reference of earlier on, that they were able to double their revenue if they could actually buy those particular wood. Yeah, rather than buying it weekly. And yeah, that was really amazing. So, what did you learn in private equity that most business owner never sees?
I think there's a lot of things private equity does well. I think the two things that I learned are number one, the value of capital structure. So it's okay to have debt on your business. It's okay to think about debt, equity, preferred shares. There's different ways you can cut up the ownership of a company that makes everyone better off. So that's number one, that capital structure matters. Number two is almost more important than anything else in a business is the price that an investor gets in. Whether it be a good business, a bad business, whether it be a great CEO, bad CEO, almost all of that doesn't matter if you can buy a business or invest in a business cheap enough. So price is almost the most important thing in business.
Yeah, prices. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So, how do you decide when to hire, when to wait, and when to scale?
I think it makes sense to hire when your business has hit a bottleneck. If not hiring is going to prevent your business from growing, then it's time to hire. If hiring someone is not going to make you grow faster in a profitable way, then you shouldn't hire someone. I think that's the core thing. Don't hire in anticipation of growth, hire in anticipation of a bottleneck.
Don't hire in anticipation of growth, hire owing to the bottleneck. And I think this is very, very keeping that a whole lot of business just starting out. So when they actually more like foresee the possibility of the business, but they aren't seeing the demand yet, they could just go ahead hiring compared to when there are a lot of engagement and you already see that, which I need to hire here to actually. And that was really amazing. So how can technology and data help business owner make better financial decisions?
So, if I was to ask you how old you were today, you'd have to count, or you'd know because it's in the back of your head, right? That's easy. But imagine if I asked you how old you're going to be tomorrow. Or a year from now, the only way you'll know that is if you knew two things how old you are today and add one,
And
right? So, you can only predict where you're going to be if you know where you are. And you only have a sense of where you're going if you know where you are. And that's where data and finances come in, right? It is helping if you don't measure where your company is today, if you don't measure what good decisions you're making and what bad decisions you're making, it's very difficult for you to make better decisions tomorrow so that your business is better off tomorrow.
wow, amazing. If you didn't get a kind of I think this is really lovely being that owing to data over time, you could actually more like foretell about what the future holds and what the expectation should be, being that you know what the current is, you see the statistics over time. And it's really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So, how can small business or mid business learn from Fortune 500 financial strategy?
I think there's kind of three things you can do. Number one is you can just go read, right? Go read what great CEOs, CFOs, COOs do in large corporations. Number two is you can hire a fractional CFO or a CFO, but make sure they're very analytically focused, not accounting focused. Accounting is a very, very small part of a good CFO's job. A good CFO's job is really thinking about the profitability of the business and how to make it better. And then the third thing you can do is go, put in a plug for ourselves. We offer free software that does about 70% of what a good fractional CFO does for free. So your listeners should just go check out, use our software. It's free worldwide. And what it does is it shows you how your business is doing and gives you some basic advice on how to do better.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. So, lastly, for business owner listening now who actually feel overwhelmed by finance, what is one action they can actually take this week to improve their financial health?
Go look at go look at your company's income statement and make sure you understand what it means. And if you don't understand what each line item means, go put it into ChatGPT or Gemini and spend an hour just saying, hey, explain what my income statement means. And give it your income statement for the last year or so and learn from what ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude tell you.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Nick. It's really a pleasure having you on the show. So, Nick, for my audience who wants to learn more from you, who want to reach out to you and for consulting or one thing or the other, how can they reach out to you and where's the best platform?
Sure. So the best way to reach out to me is go to my company's website, egorockcfo.com. On there is my LinkedIn. On there is my email and my business partner's email. So I think that's the best place, egorockcfo.com. All of our contact information and social network stuff is there too, as
Yeah,
well as our
amazing.
free stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for sharing your insights on finance, business, business strategy, and scaling with with intention. For listeners who want to learn more about Nick, CFO service and strategy section, check the show notes. There's going to be the link to the website so that you can actually explore more on it. This has been the Making of Me podcast, and really it's a pleasure and honor have you on the show, Nick.
Thank you.